As most of you are probably aware, Apple announced a new pair of iPhones this week. From what I've been able to gather, people are very excited about this. People are also confused about one particular feature, the lack of a 3.5mm headphone jack. Let's talk about why this is bad for anyone who buys one of these phones and the industry as a whole. First, obviously, none of your wired headphones are going to work with it. Sure, Apple is including an adapter, but now you need to carry around another adapter just to listen to music or a podcast. What if you need to charge your phone while you want to listen to music? Well, that's too bad, since the lightning port will be taken up by either the charger or the adapter. Maybe eventually you'll be able to buy another adapter that has a pass-through for charging, but this would add bulk to the adapter, which, as Apple has stated in the press conference, they want their device to be the thinnest out there. I've been reading a lot of people defending Apple with this decision. They seem to equate it as when floppy disks were replaced by CDs for data transfer. This is not a fair comparison at all. That was changing from one non-proprietary medium to another non-proprietary medium. What Apple is doing is going from non-proprietary to proprietary. This means that Apple actually owns the lightning port. For each pair of headphones that are made with a lightning connector, the manufacturer needs to license the technology from Apple. This wouldn't be the case if it wasn't proprietary. Another problem with it being proprietary is that it doesn't work with devices Apple doesn't put it in. Right now, the only devices with a lightning port are iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touches. Apple doesn't even have a lightning port on their iMacs and MacBooks. If you want to use your fancy lightning headphones with your MacBook, well, you're out of luck. Now, one thing I do agree with is that we need to leave the 3.5mm audio jack behind. We need to replace it with something better and, more importantly, something standard. If you've been following tech news over the past few years, the logical option would be to go with USB Type-C connection. This is a standard, which means that it does not need to be licensed and isn't owned and controlled by a single company. It already comes on most phones, laptops, and even desktops, so it would be a logical option to go with. Replacing the 3.5mm audio jack with a USB Type-C port does have one problem that I already mentioned though. You won't be able to use your headphones while you charge your phone. Now, many non-iPhones already have wireless charging, which could be used instead of plugging it in, but what about the rest of them? The best solution I can think of would be to have a pass-through. Now, what I mean by this is that on your headphones, there would be another USB Type-C port that would be used for charging your phone. Now, this wouldn't work, like I said, with Apple devices, since they want everything to be the thinnest and it adds bulk. But for manufacturers that this isn't quite as important, it is a viable solution. The way that Apple is going about replacing the 3.5mm jack is bad for the consumer. This is putting anyone who uses an iPhone even more in control of Apple. It's locking them to Apple devices. There's one more comment that I'd like to address that Apple made during their press conference. They said that dropping the 3.5mm headphone jack is an act of courage, and I must say, I definitely agree with that. It takes a lot of courage to take this big of a shit on your customers.